That's what I'm saying. It's a grown-up Tamagotchi. That's what it is. It's Tamagotchis for grown-ups, bro. The same way when we were kids, you had to keep the thing alive, feed it, give it water. That's what you have to do with your agents if you want to. Because again, like I keep saying, we all thought that economic emancipation was the war that most of us were going to be fighting against.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Straight No Chaser podcast. This is the show where we talk about human freedom through money, technology, economics, and philosophy. This is the next episode of the monthly roundup. It's a full house today, so we've got everybody on board. Ricky, Herman, Oken, and myself. Conversation is a little bit on the AI side this time around. There's just so much been happening, and the enthusiasm coming through from the guys talking about what they're trying, testing, building, just discovering is quite incredible to hear. So we did spend a bit of time talking about AI stuff, but we also do talk about some Bitcoin news, stuff that's come up. Obviously, the Iran war is pops its head in every now and again into the conversation. But as you guys have come to know and love, fantastic conversation, just all things Bitcoin and AI on this one. So lovely chat. I know you guys will love it.
There's one.
Yeah.
And then up here's another one running, but it looks like that actually the terminal. And then I've got all the different ones. And then when I give it a command, this one tells all of them. I get like these are my tasks for the board. These are the reports they give me, and I can go through them. They get sent to my Telegram as well. I'm having fun, guys.
Yeah, it's great.
Is this your OpenClaw?
No. So I have one that is actually OpenClaw that's running on the Dell laptop, and then the other one is an agent I built myself. It's way more fun to build them yourself. I mean, OpenClaw is okay. You can still use some of the architecture, but there's other things you can do now. So I'm doing those things.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just saying you get every tech question from here on until the end of time.
Okay.
Now Ricky gets all of the ones for the hardware wallets. Please send those to Ricky.
That's fine. I'm happy with that. But okay, I've got a question for you about Start9 and the open LLMs on Start9. So I've played around a bit on my Start9 home server with the like basic open LLMs that are there. But I haven't been able to find any yet that are like that you can connect to the internet. So like out the box, they're not like super plug and play. Because for me personally, if a model's not connected to the internet, like that's not particularly useful. Like I need internet access for it. So like, what's your experience been like using those? It's free GPT or whatever it is on the Start9.
So I'm not gonna lie to you, I haven't used free GPT in maybe almost a year now on my Start9 server. But also just because of space wise. And I'm actually running the like one like this. Oh my god, things falling. I'm running one of these though. So this is actually a Raspberry Pi on the inside.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the rest of mine are like on actual full-on computers, like as a server. So I haven't run it in a while. I'll have to go test it out again. But as far as I knew, people were still using it pretty well. Now with O, that's going to be made a lot easier. And everybody's like, yeah, but you guys have been talking about O for a while. But I've been running O for 6 months, maybe longer, because it's in alpha, and most people don't want to, waddle through the thing of having alpha software. Even beta did. But I'm going to tell you now that alpha software is pretty damn solid.
I hope it's better than your internet connection.
Yeah, I think they make internet different in Namibia than they do here in South Africa.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. So Oken, what's are they going to be doing something with OpenClaw on Start9?
Can you hear me? Because my internet is messing around.
Yeah, you're breaking up pretty badly.
Damn. I don't know if you can hear me. Why
Yeah, I can
now?
hear you.
Why would this happen now?
Herman, how's it going?
When did the Southern
is there a
African
way I can
Development
keep people off the
Community
internet?
sort of break down? Like
Let's
SADC.
switch off some things.
When?
It's not a not a free.
When was it ever functional?
Well, maybe internet's been disrupted because there's no more free trade zone. Oken, you're crossing the border.
Oh, he's gone. He's gone.
And there he's gone. Deported. ISIS.
Straight.
ISIS kicked him out. How's it, Herman? How you doing? Can you hear us all loud and clear?
No, I can hear you. Sorry, I'm elected. At least our internet down here is reliable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Muscle
Western
Bay's the land of
KP's
horse and honey.
always bragging about how lekker everything is down there.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's true.
okay. We're back.
Okay, we can hear you now. So tell me, when are we going to see OpenClaw on Start 9?
It's already there. That's what I was trying to tell you. So with 040, there's a lot of things that have changed, especially in these last few releases. So it's now on Alpha 20. I'm still running Alpha 17 because the Raspberry Pi versions haven't come out. Also, Start 9 is releasing Risk 5 versions of hardware. So you'll be able to run LLMs and things like that a lot better. But yeah, so OpenClaw is in the alpha registry of Start 9 040 versions. So you can, it's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. Ricky, this is not a good idea. You should not give OpenClaw access to your server that has your Bitcoin keys and everything. Like, get another one. Go buy a Raspberry Pi and put OpenClaw on there with your Start 9 or whatever.
What do you think I am? Why do you think I've got my Bitcoin keys sitting on there? No, obviously not.
I think
who's not using air gap hardware wallets? Who's doing that? Like, do you want to get drugged? Absolutely not. If you're not air gapping your hardware wallets, you're a kook. You're gonna get drugged.
If you're not building them yourself, are you really sure? The other one.
I got the coolest thing the other day. So you know, when you buy a Raspberry Pi board, especially the Pi Zeros, you got to buy them with the pre-soldered headers, or you got to solder the header yourself. So for those who know, the header is the thing that you use to connect an additional piece of hardware to a Raspberry Pi. So like if you want an LCD hat that goes on top, so you got a screen, you know, with a keypad input. You've got these things called headers, and you've got to buy the board with these pre-soldered. That almost like doubles the cost of the board because Raspberry Pi Zeros are cheap as hell. So I got this kit the other day that allows you to hammer headers on. It's like a little acrylic plastic kit that holds them in place. You can hammer headers on. You can buy those headers for like $20. The kit is like $150. So now I'm buying boards without the headers on and the headers separately, and it basically like reduced my cost of those boards by half. So
you see, give all hardware questions.
Yeah.
Give it to Ricky.
But no, totally. So like, build yourself a seed signer, do all of your stuff, you know, air gap. So if you're using your Start 9 at home, your Bitcoin node, you're just using it for a node. You're not using it as a wallet. Like, you're not using it to store anything on. Like, that's silly. Don't do that. And then you can run all the AI models you want on it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'd always say get another device. Also, hi Herman, nice to see you. Get another device, bro. Like I said, I'm running. When I started running OpenClaw, I put it on a Dell laptop that I've had since 2015. Okay, this thing only has 8 gigabytes of RAM. It's got a terabyte of spinning hard disk. Like it's actually dead. The computer itself, you switch it off and on, it doesn't really work. You need to go into the boot menu, and it runs Kali Linux. So I gave OpenClaw a computer with Kali Linux at the root level. It's very fun to play with. And then the other one I'm building on my own, but that's more serious. But all I'm saying is, if you're gonna play around with it, if you want to experiment, don't put this on your daily computer.
No,
just don't. Get a Raspberry Pi or something.
Those consume too many resources, and your computer's not going to work properly.
Well, the thing is also, like, it depends. When I started with my OpenClaw journey, the actual file that OpenClaw is, because that's all it is. It's just it's a bunch of markdown files. But the actual folder is like something like 4 megabytes or 5 megabytes, right? Now it's grown over time. Like now it's like 3 gigabytes strong, 3.5. But that's because of the information you feed it and like all of the loops and all of that stuff and the tools. But it's not a very big thing. So to get started, you can literally start on a Raspberry Pi Pico and install PicoClaw, right? Don't know, it's like OpenClaw, but it's brought smaller down, and then you can grow that out. You can literally take that file and then move it and then grow it. Like if you think about like AI movies, like if you've seen Wall-E, right, with a little machine that's walking around, Wall-E. Yeah, you can build your own Wall-E and train it to become Jarvis, but you can start with Wall-E. Right, and that's the great thing here is like you can give your kids one. Is think about it like a grown-up Tamagotchi. That's how I think about OpenClaw. It's a grown-up Tamagotchi. That's the whole thing here.
So this is a Raspberry Pi Zero with those are the headers I was talking about, those pins, right, that I've hammered on there. So to just what you're saying is like this is the Pi Zero, which is bigger than a Pico, right? I'm not sure the onboard RAM of this thing, but it's got some RAM on it. So you say you could run a small model, OpenClaw model on one of these. I think Oaken's frozen. Anyway, I'll take that as a yes. So Oaken, so you're saying you can run it on a Pi Zero like this? You can run a small.
Yeah, they literally created a thing. Sorry, my internet keeps jumping off and on. They literally created a thing called PicoClaw. It's open source. Go on GitHub, just type in PicoClaw or NanoClaw. There's a lot of smaller ones that they've made so that you can run them. And the thing about them is you're not supposed to run it like, oh, go and do my whole life. Like the PicoClaw, I think, was mainly made so you can run the stuff in your house. So like if you have like lights and all of these things, you can have your small AI agent take care of all of the timings and all that on cron jobs and start teaching it that way and then move the file over.
So
yeah, you can.
So something I did for my aunt and uncle last night actually is I went on to GPT, and ChatGPT's got like a Scholar GPT. It's focused on Google Scholar. So people don't know this about me. I used to be a scientist, research scientist. And I spent a lot of time researching. And so for me, like being able to build a OpenClaw instance that can scan all of the preprint servers where papers get published to before they get published by a journal. Because I don't know if people know this about the medical, well, the scientific industry, is that the journals that publish scientific literature were captured by Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, who got given a Mossad state funeral when he died, even though he was British. Anyway, so the whole Epstein thing goes very deep, but he is basically Epstein's father-in-law, Ghislaine Maxwell's father. And so he captured the publishing industry, textbooks and scientific literature publishing. So obviously we all lived through COVID. We all know that most scientific literature that gets published goes to like series of gatekeepers, and like you don't really get to see the good stuff. The good stuff comes out on the preprint servers. And this is where the people actually write the papers. The scientists publish it there first, and then if it's really good, it gets taken down on the preprint server a few days later, never to be seen again. So that's the juice. That's the good stuff that you really want. So what I'm going to be doing, my first project on OpenClaw, would be to scan those preprint servers, pick up the paper as soon as it's published, download that paper, and then build a knowledge base in there around topics that are interesting to me. So for example, like one of the fields that I'm interested in is like anti-cancer research, not anti-cancer, but like alternative treatments for cancer. Things are like repurposed drugs that have been out there, ivermectin, menbendazole. These things have got like a very, very well-known safety profile, side effect profile. It's all very well known. Been around for decades. So there's a bunch of stuff happening here in the cancer research side. But obviously it gets shut down in the main journals because pharma controls it and the Epstein pedo class control it. So this is where building your own open source models that can capture that data, put it in a knowledge base, and you can start sharing that stuff around, and we can decentralize science, as it were. This is super, super interesting to me. And like this requires big data, right? Because like papers that get published and the data sets that go with them are massive. And we've trusted institutions to house that stuff for a long time. And obviously they've been scamming us for a long time about it. So like this, it's a brave new world when it comes to medical research here, because you don't have to trust the priest class anymore on this stuff. you can actually go and verify it yourself, which for me is super, super exciting.
Yeah, man.
Bro, you could. Sorry, go, Gavin. No, go, Gavin.
No, Ricky, I was going to say, like, thanks for mentioning that, because just the other day I was reading a tweet somebody put out about the internet, the early days of the internet, when it was still the whole DARPA project. And the first adopters were universities, and they were using it to share information between universities. Fast forward 20 odd years later, and it's the most paywalled environment you'll ever find is access to journals. So now we've gone full circle. Now we've got tech that can sort of jump between there and pull that stuff and get it back out to where the whole thing started in the first place.
And this is where it gets super interesting on the monetization front, right? So like, let's say you run your own home server specifically for hosting scientific literature that gets taken down. So someone posts it, it gets taken down by the powers that be. You keep posting it on your own server behind a VPN, whatever. And then you can build your own paywalls using Lightning. So if someone wants to access that, or the AI model wants to access that, you charge per read. I don't know if you guys have ever gone on the scientific literature research hole, but like it costs a fortune to get access to a journal, because you don't get access to like per paper as such. Some of them have those models, but it's super expensive. And obviously the authors get none of that money. It all goes to Maxwell Publishing. That goes to the pedo class. So like there's a whole new business model here of like taking those preprints, storing them on your own server, and then making them publicly available at a cost via Lightning. You know, it's far, far cheaper. And that way you can pay for the server costs and all that. Now we can have this like decentralized knowledge, and you're going to have this bifurcation of society where like the real medicine and the real stuff that actually changes lives is available open source at a small cost to like, you know, keep the whole thing going. And then the Epstein class is going to keep trying to like constrain knowledge, etc. And we know their model is going to lose because it's so expensive and you know, paywalled. And obviously the jig is up now. People realize that there's nefarious actors controlling all of this. People have come to terms with it. I was having this conversation with my wife last night, actually, where like previously when you hear a doctor has had his medical license revoked, you're like, oh, he must be a shit doctor. He must have done something terrible. Now I hear that, I'm like, I want to speak to that doctor. He has forbidden knowledge. He's going to cure my ills. Let me speak to that doctor. It's like a badge of pride. Like Tim Noakes. Look what happened to Tim Noakes. Like they're trying to vilify the guy, left, right, and center. He's the guy you want to talk to.
Did you see the White House the White House meme that went wrong?
Which one?
They posted
this week.
They posted a photo of a fighter jet pilot, like this whole Top Gun type vibe.
Yes.
Fighter pilot sits in the cockpit of the fighter plane, and then the caption reads something like, "Don't worry, the Patriots."
Oh yeah, the Patriots on control. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Patriots on control. And then somebody went and replaced the fighter pilot face with Jeffrey Epstein's face and said, "So don't worry, the pedos are in control," or something like that. Apparently it went like super viral or something, and it obviously had the White House original writing on it and everything.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's pretty evident that the pedos are in control at the moment.
I'll share a link if I can find it again.
Gavin, I don't want to have a rehash of last month's episode, but all roads do seem to lead to this.
Yeah, it kind of is what it is, and I think it's because of this problem that we're actually talking, because we're all involved in sovereignty and freedom, and you know, Bitcoin is like probably one of the greatest breakthroughs in human invention. Someone was talking about, you know, we had fire, we had the wheel, probably the printing press, then electricity, and then it's Bitcoin. I mean, it must rank in easily the top 10 transformative technologies. We just haven't seen its full potential yet. It's still super early. But just, you know, talking about that, you mentioned something about agents, AI agents and that. And I see Lightning Labs have just released a toolkit for agents to now use Lightning so they can procure services. I'm sure there's probably other guys building their own things, but to have a bigger crowd like Lightning Labs release it is kind of cool, so people can build on that. So AI armed with Bitcoin, is this the beginning?
So I have things to say on this. I like this topic. This is a nice topic. So yeah, 402 error code 402. Actually, they didn't just release it. This was released 3 years ago. That Lightning Labs came out with what they call L402, which is Lightning 402 or Lightning uh, code 402. So the 402 protocol basically is a payment, not requested, but payment expected almost, right? So like with this code, because of Lightning Network, we have instantaneous settlement, right, over time and space. So now you can literally, the same way I send you an email and you receive it once I send it, basically, it's the same way that when I send you Lightning, right, you receive it when I send it. So now we can have that 402 code utilized with payments. But because it can be utilized for payments, what you now have the ability to do is you get, like what Ricky said, you can have AI agents tapping these codes on each other and literally making payments, almost like we would do with paywalls or whatever. So now you can paywall your API calls or your open source project viewership or anything via your AI agent, and your AI agent will collect that Bitcoin into its Bitcoin wallet, and you can then route it out in the way that you would want to. But what this means is now developers don't really need to go out and look for funding. If you build something that is amazing and there's an API call and people have to use it, like think about like what Jack Dorsey did with Stripe them, right? When he built his payment mechanism, everybody started using it and they paid him to utilize it. That's the same thing that every developer will now be able to do by building really great software and putting L402 that you will be paid in Bitcoin for people, utilizing your software or your service, which I think is amazing, especially for people in Africa, Southeast Asia, Latin America. There's a lot of developers from these places, but they never have exposure to get, proper funding, even just setting up a Giza page or something like that. It's an entire process where now I can literally say, hey, meet my AI agent Bender or Bob or whatever his name is, and pay him to access what I built. I think that's basically the small, too long didn't read.
So I actually built a Bender agent recently. It's called the Ticketmaster 2000, and the icon is Bender. And basically, what it is like a product. It's like a product owner agent. So like product owners basically expect tickets out for developers to be able to build what you need them to build, right? It's like, how do you take the requirements from like a stakeholder? So like, let's say you own the business and you're like, I want a product to do X, Y, Z. The product owner takes your requirements and writes them up to tickets so that developers can actually go and build it. So I built an AI agent that does that. It functions as a developer and it's all voice prompted. So you can just talk to it and be like, I want it to do this. And then it goes like a bunch of refinement process with you, asks you questions, refines until you're happy with it, produces the ticket. So my next step now is to slap a Lightning invoicing service in the front of that and a WhatsApp connection portal. So you can chat to it via WhatsApp, voice notes on WhatsApp, and then it sends you back, whether you have it as like a CSV file or a PDF or like a GitHub format, however you want to use it, whatever ticketing software you're using for managing your production pipeline. You can do it that way. So that's my side project that I've been using personally myself for like writing tickets at work, because we didn't have to hire a product owner. So product owners hate this one weird trick to remove product owners. But now the next step is to make it available to anyone via WhatsApp, and you can just pay in sats. I think the model will kind of be like you pay a small amount upfront, almost like a deposit. It's because obviously the AI has got some thinking and there's costs associated with that. And then before you get your final output ticket, as your downloadable, you pay the balance. I think that's probably the model that'll work. And then it means anyone who's scaling up a development team, you can just use it like this. You don't have to hire a product owner. And that's going to save you 60,000 Rand a month, probably, in terms of salary. So it means that small teams can now like simplify that process as well, because most people don't know how to write tickets in a way that developers know how to read them. It's quite a skill.
Yeah, well, that's because developers are aliens, remember? or normal people are aliens, whichever way you want to say. But yeah, that brings up
you don't speak to each other.
No, dude, like, it's crazy. But that's why being able to translate from one to the other can make you a lot of money. But as you were saying this, it reminded me of this video that I was watching like a month ago on like a couple of weeks ago, where this guy asked AI. He was like, how much, if I was an AI, how much would the API tokens for what I do cost the company versus what it would if you were to do it, right? And this was like, it was astronomically stupid. Like the AI was even like, it doesn't make sense to hire humans to do what AI can do for less than $3, right? You're getting paid thousands on thousands of rands, but it's like $3 for the AI to do this, or free if you do it the way I do, because I'm always doing the open source free local model stuff, bro.
And
Like
other
the
thing,
cost of
Oaken,
all of this is going down.
yeah, but you have to self-host, because if you don't, the Iranians bomb your data center, and then you got no AI left.
Hey, you see, this is why you gotta just be good with all of the BRICS countries and chill out, like Namibia and South Africa. Ain't nobody sending bombs here right now. We're okay. Like,
Man, I'm seeing the like Mossad adjacent class in South Africa freaking out about South Africa having like friendly relations with Iran. I'm like, yo guys, the Straits of Hormuz are closed to some people. We've been on Team Iran, South Africa over here. We're getting oil. And everyone around the world now is having to revert back to coal because they don't have oil.
Yeah.
So like South Africa is one of the biggest producers of coal. So like South Africa's actually played this quite well. So, like the ANC is terrible at a lot of things. Implementation, execution, they're really bad at. But foreign relations, maybe because they love talking and not doing, they're actually, not bad at. So like, because you could look at this whole situation and be like, they're on the side of Team Terror with Iran. Clearly people who say that don't know anything about Iran's history and how they got to the point. Gavin, we discussed this last month. They don't understand how Iran got to be the way they are. They're the way they are, spoiler alert, because America and Israel just fucked with them so much until they ended up like this. But yeah, South Africa might still be getting oil. So I think it worked out quite well.
I just wanted to spin back onto what you were saying there, Oaken, about the cost of work being done, what the AI would charge versus the human. I think we've all heard about Jack Dorsey that has canned 40% of his workforce. And he released an official statement where he said, the company is actually not in trouble. In fact, we're doing just fine. We're doing better than ever. But we have now worked out that we are so much more efficient with the intelligence tools that we are building and implementing. We actually no longer need 40% of you guys. So, I mean, he was quite nice about it. He's given them a great severance package. But, I mean, that was literally a real world example on exactly what you were saying. How much will the AI do it versus the human?
But now what Dorsey did, because don't forget, it's not just that he fired over 40% of his staff and made a very nice post on Twitter. What happened to his stock right after he did that? It increased. It went up. It didn't go down. And why did it go up? Because part of his statement, right, was that this was going to happen anyway. So instead of letting it bleed out for the next 3 years, and you're going to still have to look for work in 3 years, how about I gave you money right now, give you a bonus, pay you out, and you go build whatever the hell you want to build. And if you look at some of the interviews of the people that left the company, a lot of them are really happy. They're like, yo, I now have seed funding to go and build what I want to actually build. Because what I've done here, I'm actually done doing. Right. And a lot of people that are builders, they want to build and move on to the next product. They don't want to continuously build on the old thing that they've been, building. So I don't know if any of you have used Goose. Goose is like Claude, or it's the one that Block built, right? This is why so many of the people got replaced. Also, Goose works so well that, it's like, I don't really need a lot of you anymore. So you also have to understand the people using these tools effectively are not just saying, it's not like PlayStation versus Xbox where you buy one and that's you forever. No. This is, I'm playing everything at the arcade that I can get my hands on. Open code, OpenClaw, Claude Code, Anthropics, not Anthropic, Anti-Gravity, all of them. We're using all of them. Why? Because you can build a lot better with all of these tools in unison than just trying to do it with one. ChatGPT's gone crazy. Like I haven't used them in a while. People are literally pulling back. They're boycotting ChatGPT. But even beyond what happened with the Department of War in America, it's also a thing of their models are hallucinating more and more. it's just making shit up. And some other models are not doing that anymore. And we're getting even the open source ones. They're becoming way more, like, a lot better. I had one write me a script for the evolution of the sovereign key, Ricky. I literally had a script written and then took that script, threw it into Gemini Notepad, had slides made for a presentation, and I was like, this is insane. Like, I gave it a concept. I just said, take my GitHub and do this. Then took that and put it somewhere else, and now I have an entire 15-minute presentation that I can go through, and it tells you the soundboard, the colors, all of that needs to be done, how the voiceover should go, all of that, all done for free with open source tools. Okay, and then of course Gemini, but like, it started all using a Qwen 3 model that is free to use. You just go and you utilize it. So what we're doing here is, firstly, yes, the cost of things like RAM and stuff is going up, but the fact that people are creating open source models that you can run on 2015 Dell laptops that have no more than 8 gigabytes of RAM is mind-blowing, right? It's insane, actually. It means that what we're doing is we're going to decrease the cost of entry for anybody to utilize these tools to a point that it is literally free. Then how much you want to utilize it is what you're paying for. So now if you finish with the free model, okay, if you really know you need not to run out of tokens, go pay that 20 US a month or 200 US a year to Claude, or Codex is cheaper, or whichever one you want to use, and plug in your API keys and go forth and be merry. That's the reality we live in. So I like what Grafton said from Vexel in his statement when he said, we're not in a world where AI is going to take over. It already has. Now the question is, are you going to learn how to utilize the hammer, or are you going to pay somebody else to build the future that you're going to live in?
Yeah,
because you can still 100%. Do it yourself.
And I'm sure it's been the same for you, but it has increased my productivity by 10x at least. Like I'm so much more effective than I used to be. And so like this is what's happening, right? Like, it's people who are creative and learn how to use this stuff. You can be productive like no one has ever seen before. You can do what 10 people would have done. And the more affair you get with it, the better you get. And then the next step is figuring out, okay, cool, how do I build microservices with this stuff that I can market globally and earn in Bitcoin for no company, nothing. You just a Bitcoin wallet and a service, like this is like sovereign individual territory. And the other thing is, like, South Africa is so prime for this, because the biggest input for AI is going to be energy, right? And so if you are a South African who's a bit older and you have your own house and you have your own solar, installed your own solar because Eskom, we had load shedding a few years ago, now that's gone. Now you've just got all the surplus solar. You are in such a prime position to start renting out your surplus power to some enterprising individual who wants to host some computers at your house and consume your surplus power that you're producing. And that's an arrangement individuals can come to between each other without the state having to get involved. The state can shake their fist at the sun. And so this is like a brave new world, and South Africa's prime for it, because we've got so much sun and people have developed put so much money into solar already. So it's going to change things so dramatically. People have no idea.
Did you see? I just shared a link in the Signal chat. I think what's going to happen more than anything else is going to separate people into two different classes. I mean, we're only talking about like 16% of the population is chatting with the chatbot at all. And this is using the chatbot in its most simple. I mean, this is like asking stupid questions like, what is the circumference of the Earth? Because they don't want to go search Google and do that research. They're asking it.
Yeah.
AI chatbot. That's 16% of the population.
Yeah.
There's less than 1% of the population that uses AI in any significant advanced capacity, and that number is not going to shoot up by a factor of 10 within the next few years. I mean, and I have a first-hand experience of this with the people that we employ in our project, which is they represent the vast majority of people on the planet. The four of us sitting here, we're at the top of the pyramid when it comes to thinking, rational thinking, questioning, education, experience, etc., etc. And I kid you not, it is a challenge to get a person to open a browser window for the first time, go to some free chatbot and start asking the most basic questions. And even the first time they do that, it's not like they go back the next time and get excited about it. It's a challenge to get them to do that the first 150 times. And then 6 months later, finally, they pick up the tool and you see vast improvements. And we've seen improvements in critical areas with people's skills, but it's the minority of the people that we work with. The vast majority, we're sitting here today, I still receive messages that clearly should have been just copy pasted into ChatGPT's free chatbot version just to get rid of the spelling mistakes and the grammar, and not even that is happening. And just getting that to happen is a huge challenge. So this is fantastic for the people who are using these tools, and I'm trying to use them as much as I can. But it looks like it's going to separate people into two different class structures. The ones that sort of move rocket boost themselves ahead in terms of productivity, etc., etc., and the rest of the people who, wake up 10 years from now and go, shit, what happened?
I think it's
sorry.
three classes.
Just wanted to finish saying that the over 55 age group are still going to be around in 10 years from now. They're going to be over 65, and that's not going to change.
It's going to be probably three classes. It's going to be like the class of people like you're describing now, using this to be hyper productive and build the future that they want to see. And you can really do a bunch of sovereign stuff with this you couldn't previously. Then there's going to be the people who don't use it for a while, and then there's going to be those who outsource their thinking to it completely. And I've seen this myself personally happen a lot, and I've also seen a recent study published of tracking people who've been using ChatGPT to outsource their thinking and what happens to their brain activity over time, and it makes them stupid because people turn off that fat part of their brain where it's like, I need to think about this laterally and whatever. It's just like, hey, I do it for me. Like, you are one step closer to plugging in the matrix and just being like, being a part of the matrix. So like because I see AI slop that people present all the time as their own work, and like they haven't bothered to because ChatGPT has got that cheesy way of speaking or producing content. You can immediately see it's AI content, right? So like,
well, in some cases that's better. I mean, like I would rather receive an email from somebody that works for us that reads like AI slop, but at the very least I can read what they're writing. Because if they don't send me an AI slop email, they send me an email that there's so many spelling mistakes and the grammar is so bad that it takes me 10 minutes to try and figure out what it is they're trying to say. So it's not necessarily a bad thing for some people to outsource some of that thinking.
But it's shit in, shit out there. Like you're putting in
that's the thing. Like, I'll give you an example. Autocorrect, right? I am atrocious at spelling, mainly because of my dyslexia. But at the same time, like, I don't even make an effort to spell. Why? Because there's autocorrect. It's going to correct it. As long as I get in the ballpark of what the word's supposed to be like, but that's not helping my spelling, right? It's not making it better just because I found a shortcut. And that's, I think, what Ricky is also trying to say is we're going to have that third class of people because of the way they outsource. When they hit their token limit, nothing's able to be done, right? Like with most developers, that's why the memes are going around. Is like, what are developers doing for those 3 to 5 hours when Claude Code won't give them tokens and they're just walking around aimlessly like fucking chickens because they forgot how to do normal changes in code. I also, the other day, I was like, let me change the wording over here. Where does it fall again in the, oh, it's over here. Like you start dumbing yourself down, but you're also replacing that with another skill. Right? It's the same thing that when the internet came up, I remember going through, we still have them, Encyclopedia Britannicas, to find information on like Roman scholars for like an actual school project and going through the dictionary to make sure how this word is spelled. Then I also remember us getting, the internet and Google and all of the rest of the crazy stuff, where all of that changed, where we could take our work, throw it into a plagiarism checker, make sure that we pass via the plagiarism check, and then hand in. That used to be done by hand. Now it's AI. As soon as you hit submit, it's already scoring and weighting averages to say, oh, hell no, this is all, you're crazy. And then sending off the report to somebody's WhatsApp. So we will move into a phase of, there will be those that assimilate with the machines, right? Those that still at a distance are like, no, AI bad, it's antichrist. And then those that literally are like, hold on, this is a tool, I'm going to use it as a tool. But the ones that fully assimilate and are like, this is my brain, Claude is my brain. When the people on the other side start changing things, that's why, again, we do decentralized, self-sovereign things, is when those in power have the power to change what you see, they will change it. And the answers that you get and the way that it answers, if they have the ability to do that, they will do it. And that is why open source matters so much, because you can actually see what was changed, what's being, put in another wrapper, you can see it. Sorry, my little rant.
No, it's because, like, look at Google, like how useless Google is as a search engine now in terms of it trying to get real information. Like, it's broken. Like, they were still subtle about it a few years ago when they were trying to like rank things, and you could still scroll down to the bottom of the page and find the information you're after. Now, like 3-4 pages deep, you're still not getting what you want. It's just like complete propaganda. And you can't, but internet search has kind of been broken because it's so dominated by Google. They've got the monopoly on it. Like, where'd you go to find decent stuff? It's so, with AI, it's going to be the same. If you're relying on a centralized model, like Claude is great. I've been using Claude recently. Like, it really is great compared to GPT. It's like way better. And GPT is so ridiculous nowadays. Like, it's so, like, the guardrails are so tight. Like, it just lies all the time. But this is where the open source stuff becomes so powerful. But the other thing that people don't realize about AI is that, like, it doesn't have all knowledge. It doesn't know everything. It's got to go and research everything. And that takes a lot of energy, especially for it to get to go and read like a book. It takes a lot of tokens and a lot of power to do that. So, like, your own private models that you're running locally yourself, you got to train them and teach them and like spend a lot of time and effort on them. And then it almost becomes like your household, your butler, your digital butler that has all this context. So, for example, you can get it to go and read all the David Icke you want. You wanted to know about the Anunnaki. You get it to go and read all the David Icke. You're going to get a very, your model is going to be thinking very differently about things than if you would have trained it on, like, I don't know, Ronaldo Goos, for example. Like, it's going to tell you a very different story. So, yeah, that's the thing. You've got to actually spend the time and effort and energy resource to, like, have your AI local models go and learn this stuff.
That's what I'm saying. It's a grown-up Tamagotchi. That's what it is. It's Tamagotchis for grown-ups, bro. The same way when we were kids, you had to keep the thing alive, feed it, give it water. That's what you have to do with your agents if you want to. Because, again, like I keep saying, we all thought that economic emancipation was the war that most of us were going to be fighting against. That's not the war. The war is the rise of AI, right? Because what's happening now is people that were okay at doing something are way better at doing it now. If you have a process, if you can do A, then B, then C, and D, and I want the result to be F, you are going to actually get that out.
To Herman's point, that's impossible for a lot of people.
I agree. I agree. The process of being able to write down, do A, then B, then C, then D, and if you do it in that order, you will get to F. For a lot of people, I agree with you. It's not, for the majority of the world, that's not how they work. That's not how they do things. And it's still going to be difficult. But at the same time, you have countries like, look at China, who went the other way with OpenClaw. And then the government was like, wait, stop it. You can't do that, what you're doing. But for a country to be like, okay, we're going to give you guys computers, right? All of these schools are going to get computers, and then we're going to put, I think it's called EXO on the computers, which is where you can train large language models to what you actually want, it like an in-house type of model. And then they trained these things on all of the coursework and the schoolwork of the schools, and each child and parent had access to it. So now, and the teacher, so now you literally have an AI, a school AI, that the kids are prompting to find out about the schoolwork, the schedules, all of those things. That's a completely different way of using AI than telling people, hey, just go have fun. Here's some free tokens. And that's the other thing here. Are we looking at the rise of AI like some novelty joke game? Or are people really understanding that the world has changed? We don't live in the same world we did 2 years ago. It is completely different. Just in the last 6 months, what has changed is astronomical.
Dude, it is unreal what has happened in 2 years.
Just this month alone, and we're not even at the 15th yet. It's crazy what anti-gravity computer has done, what Claude Code has, all of these, it's insane. We don't live in that world anymore. So firstly, even less than 16% of people understand that. Even the people using AI, of that 16%, maybe 10% of them are actually paying attention at the fact that all of this has changed. All of it, right? And you need to move with that knowledge. Otherwise, it's going to be a hell.
So I just want to add in there that, I think this is the eternal problem, that most people are not curious and most people aren't going to take the energy and the effort to try things. I mean, we're talking about Tamagotchis. When desktop computers came out, people said the same thing. How many people went out there, bought a desktop computer and tried stuff? So, I mean, I've been I'm the least tech guy here out of the four of us sitting on this call. But I'm pretty curious. So the AI thing comes out, someone talks to me about vibe coding, and now I'm trying to figure it out. And when I asked it to build me something, it built an absolute pile of shit. And I was like, oh, damn it. Okay. Well, clearly this is not that easy. Okay, right. What did I do wrong? Go back and go fix this. Hey, you've put a button there. I clicked the button. It does nothing. What's going on? Then you start learning, well, there's a product requirement document that would help if you scope that first. Oh, here's a functional specification document that will help. So you start going through this process, and I just think this is how humanity is. Most people are going to be employees their entire life. That's just the way it is. Not everybody's going to be curious. Most people are not teachable, and most people are going to pay for convenience. They're just simply going to take my $100 and just deliver me a hot coffee in my lap here or whatever. And I think it doesn't matter about the technology that comes along. People essentially remain the same.
Fully agree, and it's a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. That's why builders like us can get paid. Because if people want convenience, build them convenience. Like Gavin, like you're saying, excuse me, and Herman as well, the technology is not at a point where people are going to be like, oh my God, yes, let me go learn terminal so I can run OpenClaw and figure out what all these commands are. But the builders also understand that. That's why it's becoming easier. The same thing that Ricky just said. What he's built is voice activated. That is how it's going to work. Because most people don't have a computer, but they all have a smartphone or at least a cell phone of some kind. That is what's going to be built out now. We're going to be building experiences, not just apps, but experiences when you're like, hey, I need to know about my industry. There is an app for that, an experience for that you speak to. It's on your phone. You talk to it the same way you would, and it gives you back information via voice, via email, in text form, or via like a Telegram message, like I have mine doing. Like it sends me reports every morning in lockdown file, and it comes through on Telegram in a voice note. All that can already be done using open source and free tools. So now what you're moving to is, okay, what if I put some money behind this and integrations? It becomes a lot faster, a lot easier to actually scale something like that. So now here's the kicker. You don't even have to be me or Ricky to build this or anybody. You could be the person that keeps calling himself the least technical person here, Gavin. If you continue iterating on that thing and you're like, okay, maybe I should have explained it more along these terms. Now you're getting a completely different output that you can iterate on as a base, which means everybody can build what's in their heads. And that's the opportunity here, is if you can describe it the way that you see it up here, and if all it took was a description to bring it to reality, that is becoming so easy that most people don't even type code. They speak it. They're like, build this, do that, make this weather app more blue. Like, that's what they're doing now. And I'm talking about serious programmers. These guys are not sitting at desks like this anymore. They're on runs with their earphones on, speaking to the agent at home that's busy working. They're not at the computer.
Yeah. So Gavin, just on the service that I built, right? Like, so I was solving a problem for myself because I was like, I need to hire a product manager to like get our tickets to the pipeline faster, because like speccing a ticket takes a long time. You got to think it through, and like it's a lot. And so then I built it for myself to solve the problem. But now I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, Gavin, you want to build something. So what you need is a chatbot on WhatsApp where you broadly describe, this is a project I want. This is high level what I wanted to do. Okay. And then the chatbot says, you cool. We've created a context document for what we want. That's cool. Now let's talk about the individual components. What must this do? This component must do X, this must do Y. And then you have a conversation with this thing. And at the end of the day, it gives you an output that you can drag. You can then upload that into, like, let's say Jira or Asana or Trello or Notion or Monday.com, whatever you're using to map out your project. And then you give that thing to Claude Code to build, because Claude Code now has all the clear instruction. Exactly, you've refined all the thoughts in your mind into like, how does this actually translate into building something in a way that makes sense for a builder to build, and then it builds it for you. So you didn't have to sit and go through that process with Claude of like, okay, build this. And it's like, okay, but how do you want to do your backend? How are you going to host your backend? And you're like, what? How are you going to, how's your service? Are you going to run it on Railway? Or are you going to run it on like, different backend hosting? It takes care of all of that stuff for you. And the point is that all gets done in the planning phase rather than execution phase, because otherwise you waste a bunch of time and effort and tokens on building something that doesn't work. So it's how do you make the building process more intuitive for the average creative who knows nothing about tech? It's like people used to be able to ride horses very well to cover distance. If you couldn't ride a horse, you couldn't cover great distance. You were very constrained by that. Then we got cars. You had to learn how to drive a car. Now we have Ubers where you can sit and work on a totally different project while you're in an Uber to get somewhere else. And you might know how to ride a horse, but that was a massive waste of your time learning to ride a horse, So because it doesn't suit that purpose anymore. So like now AI has enabled us to be so much more productive on doing other things that you need to change where you focus your time and effort on, because those skills that you used to have are like actually obsolete now. Like people have learned all these massive skills, like being a product owner. I used to be a product owner. That skill is gone. That's obsolete. Like I built a product in 2 weeks, not even a week, that made that obsolete. And I'm surely not the only person who's done this. Like it wasn't particularly hard. So yeah, it's a brave new world out there, but you can be so much more productive and ultimately frees you up to spend more time surfing.
Well, I would just like to announce I have now got 4 tools implemented in my business and are being used. And I've got a Google Android apps up in the Google Play Store. So it's just that's, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
they're going to want your ID.
I've got area managers at work that understand the Google Play Store, download the app, and they can go do their work. So we make it easy for the guys.
You have to give
it's just the struggle.
It's the struggle nowadays to get an app up.
Yeah. They want your first child. They want your first child also.
They've always been after your first child. We just found out about it recently.
Actually, that's wow.
So I did just this whole thing about people paying for convenience and the dark side of that. I picked up a news headline. India is now testing CBDCs, but they're going to do it with food coupons. And that, my friend, is how they get you, because they offer you free stuff. Use this toy, it comes with free stuff, and off you go. And I've always thought that's how CBDCs will be introduced. They're going to say, if you use this, you won't be taxed on this portion if you use this tool. Or if you use this, you're not going to, there's going to be massive benefits, huge conveniences to using this little thing that they introduce and they roll it at you, a little bit like Facebook did in the beginning. And I don't think they started off being the nefarious actors they may have turned into. They were college kids trying to pick up hot college girls. But, they give you something free that is awesome, and you get used to it and you play with it, and then they give you a bit more. And then the next thing you see, hey, I can't buy steak. What's going on? Why can't I buy my steak? Or I can't fill up my car and fuel because I've moved out of my 15-minute city, or some crazy thing like that.
Did you see the ANC? They went from handing out KFC buckets, at election day to get people to vote ANC. Now they're at like 1 loaf of bread per family. So they used they use food to try to entice people to vote, but they've stolen so much they can't even afford the bribe anymore.
Well, at least they're admitting there's an inflation problem. If you've gone from one bucket of KFC per family, now it's one loaf of bread. I mean, that right there is telling you something's gone south.
I mean, but if you look at governments around the world, this happens everywhere. It just happens in different forms, right? Like even in the US, if you look at it, they're not giving out buckets of KFC, but hey, free healthcare over here, this over here, so that you guys can be complacent. This over here, like it's also a thing of understanding that power sees where the gaps are, right? It's looking for where it can grab you, and if people are complacent, they're it's okay. It's anyway going to happen. So what am I really going to change? I'm only one person. That thinking is why you get things like this to actually propagate. And I think that what's happening, even with the rise of things like AI and sovereign technologies like Bitcoin and BitChat and stuff like that, is people are waking up to the fact that, hey, convenience might cost me more than I'm willing to pay. I think they're starting to realize that slowly but surely, that convenience is going to cost them more than what they're willing to pay. And if you look at CBDCs, everybody keeps talking about how great they are, but the biggest CBDC of all, right, Tether, keeps literally blocking people from using their money. Like they keep freezing accounts, and like just the other day they froze, what was it, another billion or something? Why would you use this? Like, what are you doing? Okay, the US is already putting sanctions on people. Now you're going to use a company that is basically saying, hi, I'm with the US. If Trump says, yo, freeze that whole country's thing, and you're like, yeah, but we're like, who's going to stop them? And this is the whole thing that people forget about why we say Bitcoin, not crypto. These crypto companies have a head. They have somebody that can be pressured. They have boards of directors. There is a really big problem there because they can change when pressured, and the pressure will come. I mean, literally, last year I had the honor of sitting with the man that wrote Confessions of an Economic Hitman. I sat with him. We had this man. The conversation we're having is telling me why you should not do CBDCs, because he's talking about, I used to come to them, with the briefcase or the guys behind me with the gun. Like, which one you want to take? You want to take the money or you want to die? Now, this is going to get worse when that money I also control, because I control the guy who runs the company. And this is where the risk of CBDCs come in. Even if they're built in country, on whose blockchain? Who controls the blockchain that it's being built on? Because it's not going to be the Namibian government blockchain. Who's going to build that and maintain that? So, and the infrastructure.
You're not looking for an invite to Lugano, are you?
Why? What happened to Lugano?
Yes.
Wait, what's happening? I'm lost. Please inform me.
I think it's the Freedom Festival, isn't it? Oh no, that's in Oslo.
No,
Okay,
Lugano is Plan B, sponsored by Tether.
It's the Tether Festival.
Hey, I'm just talking the truth here, Like,
that was literally
money.
that was literally the very first item I jotted down from headlines in the last month was Tether has frozen 4.2 billion in USDT.
See,
so I'm
glad
you brought that up.
Well, someone has to say it, dude, and everybody keeps saying that the guys running Tether are Bitcoiners, and it's like, yeah, sure, maybe they are, but that's sort of besides the point.
Maybe they were.
I mean, look, they're businessmen.
Even if they still are, you put a gun to the head of a Bitcoiner. I'm not sure that they're invincible.
Exactly. And at the same point in time, like, let's be honest, Tether is a for-profit company. This is not an NGO. They're a for-profit company, and those are businessmen. They saw a gap, they took it. I can't hate on them for that. But the framing needs to stop. Right? And they're not even the ones doing the framing. It's everybody else that's like, no, because Tether's so great and they do so much. Great. They sponsor all the things, all of that. But let's be honest about what it is. Tether is, I don't think, is the Trojan horse that people are saying is going to bring Bitcoin to the masses. I don't think so. I think what it's doing is making the masses say, you see, Tether's okay, so then Ethereum must also be okay. And also Solana, why can it only be Tether and Bitcoin all of a sudden? You see, so now we're opening a conversation about all shitcoins being legitimized because Tether works in certain places at what it's supposed to do, which is replace the US dollar with another US dollar. Just not understanding.
It's an extension of the US dollar. It's how the US dollar, how they can extend their reach into the third world and export their inflation into the third world and expand control dollar hegemony.
And with no oversight. They can just step away and say, but we don't own Tether. So now responsibility is also gone on that one. Like this is so who takes ownership of the problem when it's just up in the air? Which is also the problem that I have with people giving too much autonomy to AI agents, because AI, a computer cannot stand trial. So so what are we doing here? Like we all have to understand what is the goal. That's what I'm trying to say. If the goal is just
when Tether freezes funds, right? Who tells them to freeze those funds? So surely law enforcement comes and tells them freeze those funds. Yeah, Donald comes and tells them freeze those funds. Do they get a court order? Does a judge sign off on a warrant to freeze those funds? No. When your funds are frozen in a bank, that needs to happen. So now you've got a system that is even worse than the incumbent system in terms of taking away humans' autonomy and freedom and access to justice and law. And if
board of directors is deciding.
Yeah, if you're a little villager in Malawi that's using Tether, and Tether decides, let's say there was some mix-up, some nefarious mix-up, they confused you with Nicolas Maduro, and they freeze your funds, and you've been running a small business selling goats in Malawi, and you've got $10,000, that's all you have, and they freeze it. Now you must go get hold of Paolo, be like, please can you unfreeze my money, overlord? What are they talking about? Sovereignty. Bullshit. It's just an extension of the USD. It's worse. It's worse.
Look at it even worse. Go further, right? Look at what happened in China, where they can switch off your money. They can literally say you can still earn money, but you can't spend it. Because it's programmable money. I programmed it so that you can earn your money, but it can never be spent until we decide, your suspension is over. You've done good enough. Now do that with one country being able to have control over another country.
Yeah.
Because the rails that were built are from the first country. And now somebody like Trump says, hey, we don't like the way that your ambassador spoke at the UN. We're switching off your money.
Yeah.
What then? What the fuck then? What happens then?
Circle back to why they invaded, why they're bombing Iran. Iran is one of the few remaining non-Rothschilds owned central banks in the world. In my opinion, this is what this is about. Like they've had a list of all these countries they're going to take down. Incidentally, all of the 7 countries that were on that list were non-Rothschild owned banks. They've all been destroyed. Iraq, Syria, Sudan, Libya. The last one standing is Iran, right? And ultimately, that's what this is about. Now, imagine a world where Iran was dollarized and they all used Tether. They wouldn't have to drop any bombs, because Scott Bessent already admitted that the U.S. Treasury was running financial operations to crash the real.
Yeah,
so they're running operations there to try to financial warfare is a real thing. Imagine how much easier it would have been for them if they were using Tether. Like it would have been trivial, if people want to be sovereign, they need to have sovereign money that can't be fucked with. And obviously, the U.S. empire is going to flex its muscles wherever it can. So if you provide them with that attack surface, they'll use that attack surface against you. The jury's still out as to who's going to win this war, who can outlast it. Obviously, Iran's taking massive shots at the moment, but so is the Gulf states, and so is America through their proxies, and so is Israel.
Yeah.
So it remains to be seen if the Rothschilds manage to pull this one off. But ultimately, to me, this is what this is about. It's about destroying their sovereignty and independence and installing a Rothschild-controlled central bank.
So I would like to just add the winning party is Bitcoin, in my opinion. I see $1 million US transaction went through. I'm sure there was a little bit of organizing behind the scenes just to make sure everything was fine. But Voltage sent a $1 million US Lightning payment through, which I think is flipping phenomenal. And I saw something on River recently. They said Lightning volume in terms of transactions has quadrupled in the last year. So...
And that's public channels. we have this conversation every time about private channels, right? Like, so I run a business that does cross-border payments. So Lightning, we use private channels. When Voltage was like $1 million transaction, I was like, first time, guys.
Yeah, it's the first public one. Yeah,
the first public one that's been happening already. I mean, we haven't done $1 million transaction ourselves yet, but we've done close to it, and repetitively we see it. So like that's for private channels. Like that's not broadcast to the world, and this is why people are like, Lightning is not being used. Guys, they have no idea what they're talking about. You won't know even used because it's private.
If you look at even the statistics for like how many Tor and how many nodes, like Lightning nodes, are reachable in Africa? No, you're not counting any Tor nodes on that. Those are all ClearNet nodes. I don't have any ClearNet nodes personally. All my nodes run over Tor. So
Tor nodes make up 50% of the network.
And it's going to change. There's now other ways that, of course, you don't only have to use Tor. There's because also Tor sometimes is down. The Tor network is the bad weather. So there are other things coming. Even with Start9, with the new ones, they're coming with different ways that you literally have to install Tor if you want to use Tor. There's complete different structure there. But the whole point here is all of these heuristics, and these numbers and all of these graphs, they're not taking into account the whole of Asia, Southern America, and Africa that are not using anything but Tor nodes. Like, look at all of those nodes that people keep seeing getting put up in El Salvador. Those Start9, those are all Tor nodes. So you're not getting the real number of what's happening. You're only getting what can be counted on certain things. And as Ricky just said, private channels are private channels. So, and then you've got things like the liquid network where things are going in. Come on. Then you've got eCash. There's no way people actually know what's going with the number. It's just a very well-educated guess and forgot about some stuff.
Yeah, if that. And people are probably just seeing what the volume they're really seeing is money being moved between exchanges and their Lightning channels. Really, that's probably what they're seeing at best. Yeah. So like you're seeing what's going on.
Sorry, I think to be fair, River did mention that a lot of this is estimation based on the nodes they can see. They have to try and extrapolate and see what's sort of going on. So, to your point about the Tor nodes and that. But guys, we're coming close up to time. Last thoughts, last comments, quick round robin on that. Herman, you've been super quiet, dude. Apart from posting interesting comments on the side chat, which I'll definitely put into the show notes. Last thoughts, last parting comments. What's on your mind?
I'm not sure who says Lightning is not being used. I mean, I use it every single day, literally. I'm not exaggerating. I don't think a day goes by. I mean, if I'm not spending money that day, then maybe that's a day where I don't use Lightning. But these days, I literally use Lightning 2 or 3 times more often than I use any type of fiat payment, whether that's cash or a bank card. So I'm not sure who says that. But then again, I guess that's still the exception rather than the norm. But it's definitely being used, and it's definitely being used more often. And it's become so easy getting somebody onto a Lightning wallet these days. So I mean, I don't know. It's definitely being used. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it's only the BCH bros is still acting like Lightning is not being used. If I can,
are they still around?
They are still around. They won't die.
Oh no, but Vlad's never going anywhere. Vlad's never going anywhere.
Yeah, I see him. I see him tweeting about Lightning not being used, and I look at our like dashboard of use of my business. I'm like, this guy has no idea what he's talking about at all.
But you also have to remember that a lot of these people are only using figures from the Western side of the world. Like, they're looking at Western figures. They're looking at, is Lightning being used in America? Why would it be used as much in America? You guys have all of these other systems, Xiaomi, PayPal, whatever the thing me. Like, they have so many ways of doing it, of getting each other paid, that they don't think about the rest of the world, which is, again, another factor of, like, speaking to people in Europe and America. A lot of the time they're in this bubble that what they experience is what the entire world experiences. And that's just not the truth. That's not how we live as human beings. And that's why I think they keep coming with this whole nobody's using lightning. No, nobody's using lightning around you. Like, that's your problem. That sounds like a skill issue.
Can I add a final thought there, actually, on that topic? I was on a call with somebody from a major. I don't want to dox the person because that would not be appropriate. But I was on a call with a potential sponsor from a very, very large institution in the Bitcoin space, and talking about potential sponsorship and fundraising. And it was an American-based company. And we were talking about circular economies, and we were talking about the Las Vegas conference last year. And I was saying how disappointing it was to travel all the way there, and then do like a little talk on some irrelevant side stage about Bitcoin being spent all around the world. And it's such a small part of the narrative at a conference like that. But I suspect that if you look at the number of, if you look at the volume in terms of US dollars, it's probably the larger part of the world that uses Bitcoin as a store of value. But if you look at the volume in terms of human numbers, individual people using Bitcoin, I think the medium of exchange use case is at least as big as the store of value use case, just because of the number of people involved. And we were having this conversation, and this person was incredibly dismissive of the idea that Bitcoin can be used as a medium of exchange. And the reason for that, it turns out, is because of the hubris around the idea that the US dollar will never, ever, ever, ever fail, and that all these people doing financial engineering like Michael Saylor and so on and so forth, they're just so much more clever than I am. And, they understand how to work the system, and they understand how to build these financial tools that'll make the US dollar the first currency in the history of the world to never die. The first fiat currency, in any case, in the history of the world to never die. And I just basically asked a simple question. I said, look, I'm sure that the people at your conferences in the US don't care about the use case right now, the medium of exchange use case right now. I totally get that. I understand it. For them, it's a store of value, and that's totally fine. And that's the use case for them right now, because they've got a very stable currency. But I'm sure that you can understand that at some point in the future, they will care about the medium of exchange use case, because the dollar won't last forever. Like, I'm not saying it's going to fail tomorrow. I'm not saying it's going to fail in 10 years from now, maybe 20 years, maybe 50 years, maybe 100 years. I don't know. But the response from this person was just so revealing, the hubris around this idea that the dollar will never fail. And you cannot imagine that there are people who are very intelligent and very well connected and call themselves Bitcoiners and run massive companies in the Bitcoin space who actually do think that the use case of Bitcoin is a store of value, and that the medium of exchange layer will always come back down to dollars. They actually believe this. They actually think this. And it's just, I'm not intelligent enough to really be able to explain these things. But looking from my perspective, just what's happening with Iran and the desperation of the US empire as they're lashing out all over the place, nothing they are doing makes sense. It's like a desperate drunk person who's gotten himself into a fight that he can't win, and now he's just fucking smashing everyone all over the place, And there's actually people who look at all of this and go, no, that's going to be fine. The dollar will survive. Everything will be fine. We'll have the dollar for eternity, forever and ever. It's never happened before with the fiat currency, but it's going to happen with the dollar. People actually believe that. And I was kind of astonished to sit there in this conversation. We were on a call. Obviously, we didn't meet in person, but I was astonished to sit there in this conversation and actually hear this. I was like, I can hardly believe, I can hardly believe my ears right now. But that is what it is. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I think closing thoughts from me. We haven't really spoken about World War III. That's kind of breaking out at the moment. Kind of a big deal. I think to Herman's point, like the US empire is going turbo. It's going full turbo. It's trying to, consolidate as much power as it can. If you listen to Simon Dixon, which I recommend everyone does, it's a lot of insights. A smart dude. Been saying stuff for a long time. He's of the opinion that the American empire is being pushed back into a regional power, and this has all been engineered. This failure has been engineered. so that America is going to fail on purpose against Iran and really lose all its bases in the Middle East, lose its influence, get relegated back to a Western hemispherian power. I don't know, remains to be seen. If you ask Tom Luongo, he's on the other side. 5D chess, trust the plan, everything's, Trump has got good people around him, and they're trying to destroy the city of London and take back American sovereignty. That's Tom Luongo's perspective on this. And then there's, if you listen to the guys, hyper-realist guys from the Duran, they kind of take everything at face value, what's going on, and they're more like, this is the US empire trying to maintain hegemony and do the bidding of Israel. So, where does the truth lie? I don't really know. Just listen to a bunch of sources to try to get an idea of what's going on. But from my perspective, this is the US empire doing US empire things. There's that scene from Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels where these two guys try to hold up Vinnie Jones with a replica gun, and he pulls out he's got his Desert Eagle, and goes, I don't know, say exactly what he said, but he's like, you thought you found a pussy, and you found a horrible. Anyway, go and watch the scene. It's great. But I think this is what's happening in Iran. I think they might have bit off more than they can chew. So what I am bullish on is the amount of Bitcoin medium exchange use cases we're going to see coming out of Europe, because Europe is fucked. Sorry, Europe, but I think you are. Your energy source has been cut off. You have only the Americans left for energy, and they've quadrupled your price. And if the Straits of Hormuz stay closed, America might say, no energy for you, Europe, because we need it all for ourselves. Russia just said to Europe, you guys are cut off. You can't buy no more gas from us. Qatar can't export any gas. Europe has no energy. And we're going, winter is coming. So the great thing about Europe is that they have all this Bitcoin development that's happened for a long time. There's a lot of, you look at the amount of nodes in Germany. We went together in Prague last night. You look at the amount of Bitcoiners in Prague doing great stuff that are really advanced. They haven't had the use cases yet because they haven't needed it, because their currency has been relatively stable. But I think those days are ending for Europe. It's like, I'm bullish on the cool Bitcoin innovation that's going to come out of Europe because of it, and the medium of exchange stuff that's going to come out of it. They're going to be Africanized, where they have to use Bitcoin because the currency is going to be in free fall. So I think the biggest loser of the opening salvo of World War III is definitely the Europeans. So I'm interested to see what comes out of that.
Oken, closing thoughts.
Firstly, I'm happy that the internet stayed on this long. It didn't fight me again. Well, what I have to say is, don't be despondent. Learn to pivot. Learn to be that little kid that was, all inquisitive and wanted to know about new things. Go into things with that type of energy, because the future already looks very different than it did yesterday. We don't know what's going to happen with the war situation. Everybody can give opinions, but we have no clue. We didn't know a month ago that there was going to be a war, and now there's a war, full scale. People are being bombed. Some of us have family in some of these places that can't leave because airports are closed. We have business partners, friends. So again, I think in closing, I just want to say, everybody be safe. Learn to pick up new skills as you go, because nothing that you thought was the same yesterday will be the same tomorrow. Technology is moving at a pace that nobody can see coming. And if you can, at least for yourself, not all of it, you don't gotta go into Oken mode and try to read everything and run everything, but pick something that you want to do for the next 10 years maybe, and find your way to be able to get there. Make a plan and hug your loved ones and build stuff, whatever it is. Speak to the AI, figure it out, ask it to prompt you so you can tell it what you want. Like it's a professional interviewer, and in that way it'll build out what you need. But please take the opportunities that we do currently have while we have them, and elevate yourself. Upskill yourself and live life.
Sweet, man. Closing thoughts on my side. I wish there was a month that would go by where I didn't have to mention BitChat, but unfortunately, I find I have to mention it one more time. I mean, these guys are killing it, eh? So, I mean, just a quick update on what they've done in the last month is they're now planning device-to-device installs. So, you can sort of stand next to your mate, he can install off your device, and you can just spread the word. So I mean, I just love every month. There's something about BitChat that pops up that's super cool. Do just want to shout out to the Sparrow guys, Craig Raw. They keep releasing cool stuff. They've just done a new release as well. Sparrow Wallets is just one of those apps that, it's top class product there. Once again, South African engineering at its best. So well done to those guys. That is amazing. I mean, there's a bunch of other little news items. There was something about a product called Mostro that allows you to buy and sell peer-to-peer Bitcoin over Nostr, which is flipping insane. I mean, I just think that's incredible. So the upside is
that actually started as a joke. Mostro started as a joke that became a real thing. That's how crazy building is. You could literally just build it.
Well, that's amazing. So while bombs are dropping in one part of the world, everybody else is just getting on with things. So flipping awesome. BIP 110, I think, is maybe a whole episode on its own. And maybe next time we can sit and chat about that a bit, because I think it goes in a million different directions. Certainly not a topic for closing comments. So just delete that out of my mouth. Maybe next time we talk a bit about BIP 10. But anyway, boys, always a pleasure. Love seeing you guys. Looking forward to, if I don't see you in the next month, I will see you in a month's time. Have a lekker one. Cheers, guys.
Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers.
Thanks.